keyboard, there's space for 2 feet, and these are attached by magnets. I don't love the positioning of them. I find that if you move the keyboard laterally, like left and right, while those feet are installed, there's a chance for the magnet to get dislodged and you have to put it back. I actually prefer using it without the feet, but for people that want feet, that is something to keep in mind. You can put them in either an incline or a decline position, depending on how you use it, but again, I don't even use the feet at all for this particular keyboard. The best part about this keyboard, though, is the PCB. It has hot swappable switches, and what I mean by that is that if you want to ever change the switches on this keyboard, you just use the included tool, pop them out, and just put in a new one. See, as someone who has spent many hours soldering, desoldering, resoldering switches onto various keyboards, seeing something like this is such a godsend. See, a lot of the times when you're working on a keyboard project, and this is something that only keyboard nerds like myself would understand or appreciate, it's like you spend hours just putting the switches onto a new keyboard. And you do it because you're just like, you want to try those new switches on this particular case, and being able to just remove them and place a new one on in seconds, it changes the game. It makes this whole process so much more enjoyable. So if you're interested in mechanical keyboards and you kind of want to do the whole custom experience, this makes it 10 times better. Now, when you order this particular keyboard, you can choose between some cherry switches, Kaiwa switches, and Halo switches. I really like the Kaiwa silvers, but regardless of which one you choose, if you ever want to change in the future, it's a 30-second job. The keycaps that they're using are some double shot PBTs. They're okay, they're not like amazing keycaps. I find them a little bit rougher than I'd like, but they're not bad. The stabilizers that they're using, they're pretty good. The spacebar has no play at all, very solid. Backspace key has a little bit of rattle, not much though. I also like the lighting on this keyboard. So often with gaming keyboards or keyboards that have like really extensive RGB lighting, you need to install software from the manufacturer to be able to play with it. This has it baked into the keyboard. You can just switch it through some key combinations and you have very extensive control if you want through QMK. If you're unfamiliar with QMK keyboard configurations, it gives you some very thorough keyboard configurability. So the mouse drop control is obviously not for everyone. It's an expensive keyboard regardless of how you look at it. If you're just looking for any kind of mechanical, then don't get this, right? There's some stuff that's 50, 60 bucks or cheaper. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit higher end and has like some cool features, definitely check this thing out. This is obviously more for the enthusiast crowd, right? But it just has so much stuff that they did right in a really nice looking package. That's something that just didn't exist on the market until they brought this thing out. I love the color, I love the hot swappable switches. It's a good keyboard. Now, this is only available on mass drop, and the way they work is it's these time-limited windows of when you can purchase it. So if you want to get this, or if you're interested in this, you got to pick up the drop right now. Like if you miss it, you miss it. You got to wait like months before they make another batch. I've missed drops before, so if you want it, check it out now. I'll drop the link down below. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.
So it used to be that if you wanted a retro-styled, like, typewriter-y keyboard, the only real options were to Why always with the expensive keyboards, huh? What does a $200 keyboard do that a $20 one won't? Well, I decided to find out. I ordered every backlit keyboard on Amazon.com under $25 to see who makes the one that's worth your money. Will it be Shenzhen Good Source Technology Co. Limited, Azio Corp, or One by One? Well, there's only one way to find out. Well, two ways, if you count just scrolling down to the Amazon links in the video description. iBuyPower and MSI's new lineup of gaming laptops feature Intel 7th generation Core i7 processors. Check them out at the link below. First up is the DB Power DBA8, a $25 product whose information I can no longer find since the page has been removed from Amazon since I ordered it. It's just as well, I guess, since this one kind of sucks. It features a tri-color backlight with red, blue, or purple colors available, but the membrane key switches are very mushy, and there's too much flex in the deck for a comfortable gaming experience. Next is the Jishan 87 Keys Fashion Classic. The marketing materials suggest that it might give you a great shock, But based on what I saw of the build quality, that seems very unlikely. This thing is a tank for a $23 keyboard. You get cable management holes on the bottom and function media keys along the top. The key switches are among the best rubber domes that I've felt for typing, though I wish they'd included a wrist rest instead of this random mouse pad. And the stems are Cherry MX compatible, so the caps can be easily replaced. But I don't think you'd ever need to. They're premium double-shot injection keycaps. You'd wear through your fingers first. The keys are individually lit, and while the colors can't be adjusted, the animations can, giving the fashion classic a charming retro look. The gaming experience was not great, however, due to the very long key travel, and the narrow enter key is a bit of a bummer. The NPED K70 turned out to be the MotoSpeed K70L when it actually arrived, so I ended up with two of the same thing. Good thing it was only 20 bucks. The static rainbow backlight was a bit of a disappointment, as were the horrible painted keycaps that actually have overspray between them. But at 20 bucks, the K70L offers up a middle-of-the-pack typing experience and one of the best gaming experiences, in spite of its much higher than average deck flex. The lack of media keys and the narrow enter key hurt it though, so even with the drain holes for water resistance, I'd go with something else. The TK Red from Tech Republic is a little on the heavier side, which gives it a higher quality feel, along with its media keys and other function shortcuts. But beyond my initial impressions, it flexes a lot, has a very basic backlight setup with only on and off, and most importantly, has very mushy feeling keys that were unsatisfying for both typing and gaming. Not to mention that the price went up to over $30 since I bought it. Fail. The L70 from ASIO is one of the more basic keyboards in our roundup. The backlight is not exceptionally bright and just turns on and off. There are no media keys other than a large volume knob, and it doesn't boast a waterproof design or any other gimmick. But it does include a large, comfortable wrist rest. The key switches feel pretty darn good for a $24 membrane keyboard, and the coating on the keycaps held up significantly better to my knife tip test than some of the other keyboards I tested. Though your mileage may vary, the top negative review on Amazon complains about them flaking after 4 months. The backspace also isn't especially well stabilized, but overall, the typing experience is the best out of the bunch and quite quiet. Though for gaming, I found the slow rebound time of the long travel rubber domes to be detrimental for anything more fast-paced than very casual play. The award for the worst instructions goes to the 1x1. I managed to figure out how to cycle the colors on my own, but I stumbled on trying to figure out what the hell the function key is for. Turns out that the F keys have secondary functions that aren't labeled, and many of which are replicated with hardware buttons in the row above. But after some trial and error, I unlocked its backlight animation and brightness controls. Too bad I couldn't unlock anything else that's exceptional about this keyboard. The dedicated media keys are nice, but the short backspace is enough to kill any positivity I might have felt towards the decent typing and gaming experience, with the annoyingly loud shift keys being the final nail in the coffin. There's not a lot to say about the large print tricolor keyboard from ASIO that isn't in its name. The typing experience is pretty bad out of the box because the space bar is kind of hard to hit, but it becomes serviceable with a wrist rest, and the gaming experience is straight up bad. But this is one of the few backlit keyboards that doesn't try to be for gaming. Nope, this one is for NAN, and the whole pitch is that the printing on the keycaps is super easy to read. Mission accomplished then, I suppose. So if that's what you're after, then go ham. Highly recommended. The Red Dragon K503 Harp has got to be the best gaming experience so far, and it's pretty good for typing, except that the spacebar has got to be the softest, spongiest, least tactile thing ever. but the rebound speed on all key presses is pretty strong, and it's got a lot of other great features as well, including 7 different colors for the backlighting, media keys, and dedicated function keys, including search, browser forward and back, and refresh for some reason. Overall construction is middle of the road, but it seems like they're at least aware of the issue and they made a plan. I mean, sure, the keycap paint is likely to wear off, but you can just swap your WASDs for the arrow keys. No big deal, LOL. This keyboard, the Super BPAG 7 Immutable, felt a little like a bad Tinder date. In person, it looks nowhere near as good as the picture. It gets some points for function keys, backlight brightness control, and swappable WASD and arrow keys for when the on-screen printing wears off, but it should be noted that since the keys seem to use dye sublimation printing, light doesn't shine through the lettering, meaning you can't really see it that well in the dark. Gaming responsiveness is pretty solid, but the typing experience, especially the spacebar, is very mushy and unsatisfying. Overall, not recommended. The narrow enter is just adding insult to injury. Finally, our last contestant, the Massione LED gaming keyboard. I don't know if any keyboard can be as good as this one's product page says it is, but overall impressions are not too bad. The enter key is narrow, which is a drag, but it's got a lot of other stuff going for it. 7 different colors of backlight, breathing effects for the lighting, high quality double shot keycaps, the second best wrist rest in the roundup, and an above average typing and gaming experience. Leading us to the awards. Top style points go to the Zishan 87 Keys Fashion Classic. This thing has so much swagger for 25 bucks. Love it. The best typing experience goes to the ASIO Levitron L70 with its great wrist rest and solid overall build quality. Then for gaming, I've got to give it to the Red Dragon K503 Harp. Lots of colors, good responsiveness, and solid typing too. You can't go wrong with any of those 3, and the Massione or the 1x1 are good options too. Everything else, kinda junk. Don't buy it. TunnelBear is a VPN. And a VPN is basically a way of keeping your internet activity private from your internet service provider and keeping your location private from the websites and services that you use. And there are additional benefits as well, like being able to access geo-locked content online. So you can download TunnelBear, which is super simple. It's available for iOS, Android, PC, and Mac. They've even got a Chrome extension. You turn on the button, you pick whatever country you want, and boom, your little bear tunnels to wherever it is, and you are ready to browse the internet privately. They have a top-rated privacy policy, and they do not log your activity, and you can try it for free by going to tunnelbear.com/LTT, where you can also save 10% on a paid plan. So thanks for watching, guys. Like or dislike. Check out the links to where you can buy all this stuff in the video description. Also, make sure you get subscribed so you don't miss any of our future videos. Join our community forum, check out our merch store, and I will see you again next time. First, you used our guide to buy the best cheapo keyboard out there. Then, you complemented it with the best sub $15 mouse. Then, you actually ended up replacing the original cheapo keyboard with a slightly less cheap, but still inexpensive mechanical one, and now it's time to complete your I spent all of my money on DLC equipment set with one final piece, a gaming headset for less than $25, because you guys love a deal. This Cyber Monday, Mass Drop will be launching 40 of their best deals along with flash sales, which will be live on their site for just 12 hours or until the item sells out. So check it out at the link below. First up, well, I'm not gonna mince words. This is our cheapest pair, the whatever, the Vibration Gaming Headphone, and it costs just $10. Now, I actually don't mind this personally, but we're getting off to a bad start here. vibration is just part of the product name, not a feature, which apparently disappointed at least one unlucky buyer. With that said, AP must have put the money that they saved on packaging to good use, because their headset actually sounds okay if a touch bassy, and while exquisite is definitely a stretch, for $10, the build quality on these things is surprisingly okay. They're lightweight, deep and cushy ear pads, and self-adjusting suspension style headband make for a comfy listening experience, though they do get pretty warm, while the long, and it's weird, it's kind of greasy feeling, cable and included splitter make them convenient to use with your desktop, phone, or console. There's an integrated volume wheel and mic, which, despite not having a boom or a mute button for that matter, sounds on par with most of the others in our roundup.
Test, test, test. This is the AP Vibration Gaming Headphones microphone sound at just $10.
And if you plug in the extra USB, you get multicolored breathing LEDs. You can't control them, but hey, it's a bonus at this point. I like this one. Now let's meet our next contestant. Just because your headset is cheap doesn't mean it has to look cheap. But the GD40s from Headphone Ninja definitely do both of those things. They're made of ugly, cheap plastic and crude pleather, and they don't fit well. Even on their smallest setting, they don't seal on my ears properly, though if you've got a real melon head, then sure, plop them on, at least until the poorly padded headband digs into your skull. On the plus side, they've got a semi-bendy-ish, what they're calling blade-style microphone. That's a boom microphone if you're not a ninja in your spare time, and a braided cable with an inline controller that just looks almost as stupid as it feels in your hand. They actually sound okay, but with all these other problems, who honestly cares? Next up, the Sadie's SA708 for $15.99. And wait a second, are these things actually getting worse as the price goes up? These things look more like pretend headphones for kids to play gaming team house rather than an actual product. I mean, just listen to that build quality. And fit gets a big fat fail too. If you have large ears, these are on-ear headphones with hard, uncomfortable padding. And if you have small ears, then they're sort of on-ear headphones with hard, uncomfortable padding. Sound quality, at least, has been pretty consistent across the headsets we've looked at so far, but with that said, the bass on these manages to stand out as extra muddy. And it's one of the only ones that doesn't come with an adapter for console play. And while we're at it, wait a minute. This thing's got the same crappy inline controller as the last headset. I guess at least it has EMI shielding to ensure a good mood. And to their credit, the mic does conceal pretty nicely, along with the rest of this thing, in the garbage, if your garbage can has a lid. The Somic G923 comes in white or black and advertises, in not one but two places on the box, a long, hard microphone with high sensitivity. Ironically, it's actually one of the few mics that stood out as especially quiet and distant sounding.
This is a test of the Somic G923 stereo gaming headset at $17.99.
To their credit, they are not uncomfortable though. The cups offer some articulation and the inline controls are small and equipped with an appreciated clip, but the build quality on this one is really bad. Like, think how bad it has to be to stand out in this roundup. And look how far the mic sits from your mouth. And listen to the headband adjustment mechanism. They also included this inexplicable plastic bag. Is this supposed to be a carrying case? Next up then is the Beexcellent GM1 at $19.99. Tons of padding actually makes this one reasonably comfortable despite the rigid design. And while it sounds grating and low quality, the headband offers a lot of steps to help you find the right fit. Like the $10 headset, this one also has LEDs, but it's just static blue all day. And it also has inline controls, but it's one of those ones that hangs at an awkward length, and the sound of it dragging across my clothes is definitely not invited to my next birthday party. I'm afraid not even Bill and Ted would approve of this one. Next, the $20 Nubbo N2s are kind of like a souped up version of the $10 APs. at least at first glance. I can say positively that they are the first thing we've seen that comes close to premium feeling today, with a soft touch finish, braided cable, and flexible boom mic, but that beauty is only skin deep. Or in this case, a flimsy piece of pleather deep. The ribbon of metal in the headband digs into your head in a matter of minutes.
Oh, this thing fucking sucks.
And the caliper pressure on these is unfortunately so low that small and medium noggin folks alike won't ever feel like they're really staying on. Making matters worse, for some inexplicable reason, they put the mute switch right on the mic, meaning that you have to make a bunch of scuffling noises while you take off the included windsock every time you want to use it. Next, we have the Version Tech G2000s, which turned out to be the Koshin each, whatever that means, G2000s when they arrived. And on the subject of inconsistencies, while they do definitely feature analog connectivity as advertised on the box, they're actually blue, not orange. They've got a super flexible headband though, for when your mind gets blown watching TechWiki, and after a break-in period for that stiff headband foam, they would be pretty comfortable if the ear cups weren't so shallow that my ears were pressed against the, for some reason, convex covers on the drivers. This is honestly enough of a deal breaker for me that even lighting effects can't make up for it. But if you don't care about that, then sound quality is similar to the rest, and the boom mic is in exactly the right position to sit at the corner of your mouth, if you're a catfish. On to the, wait a minute. What's this? A recognizable brand? The MSI DS501s have better build quality than their Red Ranger glossy plastic suggests, and are actually among the most light and most comfortable headsets in the roundup today. And they sound all right too, with ample bass without being too over the top, though, like the rest, they do become pretty distorted and muddy at high volumes. The mic boom pivots and bends, which is really nice, but with that said, even correctly positioned, the recording quality isn't the greatest.
This is a test of the MSI DS501s for $24.99.
Bringing us finally to the stylish Patriot Viper V330s. These guys have got a soft touch finish, breathable fabric ear pads, a nice ratcheting headband with a braided cable, a nearly invisible fold-away mic, and integrated controls on the left ear cup. They're one of the only 2 sets in the roundup to come with a travel bag, and even though it's pretty dreck, it's significantly better than the other one. But with all that positive stuff said, they're also the only set to stand out as overly tinny sounding, they're not super comfortable, and they're the most expensive one that we looked at today. So which set do we recommend then as your new daily drivers? Well, since they mostly all have comparable sound and mic quality, it pretty much came down to comfort, build quality, and price, which makes it really hard to beat the $10 APs, whose multicolored LEDs and construction put them way ahead in terms of value, especially when you factor in that they cost less than half as much as some of the other ones we featured. MSI's DS501 does cost more, but was significantly more comfortable to my noggin. And then, if you don't dig the suspension style headband, I'd say go for the Be Excellent GM1s. This episode was brought to you by TunnelBear, the easy-to-use VPN app. When people are shopping for a VPN, one of the features they look for is a kill switch. Now, before you